Welcome to the Presidential Talk. Hello, here are our hosts. My name is Alan.
Vivian. Samantha.
Ricardo.
Our President Nixon opened the doors to all the women that were in college sports. He signed what was called Title IX, or IX, on June 20th, 1972. With this new rule, all women had the right to play in any sports and even to join in physical education classes, in which they couldn't in those days. And now they are able to do this thanks to President Nixon. This would help many people that do not have money and want a scholarship to enter any college or university. It would give them more job opportunities as well. We will now go into commercial. Thank you.
It's a real thing. Coke is, that's the way it should be. Coca-Cola, what the world wants to see. Oh yeah, it's a real thing. Coca-Cola, that's the way it is. Fill a bottle of Coke and the way it will stay. For the taste of your life, what the world wants today. Oh yeah, it's a real thing.
Now moving on to the popular
In
culture.
1974, the fashion trend for women was to wear patterned clothing, platinum shoes, high-waisted bell-bottoms, which they would call flares, and matching sets. The jackets they wore were also bombers. Popular at that time would be wine red, purple, orange, and brown. Their hair would usually be cut in a short bob. Curling hair back then was popular and still is to this day. For men, on the other hand, their fashion style was very wholesale. They would wear open shirts tucked in with long trousers. They also loved patterned clothing just like the women did. Their hair would be simply swooped to the side with gel. On October 1st, 1971, they had the grand opening for Disney World, which was a really big event. One of Nixon's achievements during his term was that he controlled all the agreements with the Soviet Union about the nuclear arms.
On June 17, 1972, police arrested 8 men trying to steal documents from the DNC headquarters and Watergate complex located in Washington. These documents, written by Matt Cord, saying that the White House officials pressured a man to plead guilty. Scandal blew up and Nixon was suspected of obstruction of justice by planning to use CIA to stop FBI investigation. Mr. Cox appointed the prosecutor of Watergate and demanded tapes. Nixon refused to turn them over, and that night became the Saturday Night Massacre. General Robert Bork fired Cox at Nixon's order. After the firing, calls for Nixon to be impeached grew louder. For the White House later released tapes, but included a mysterious 18-minute gap. They connected Nixon to the burglary.
Nixon announced in a conference in Midway that the U.S. would be following a new program that he called Vietnam Station. This would help build up South Vietnamese forces to take responsibility for the
South Vietnam relieved under the attack but then surrendered with the help of the United States air power. U.S. forces were withdrawn after signing the Paris Peace Accord in January. After negotiation and the bombing of North Vietnam in December 1972, when he took office, about 300 soldiers would die every week in Vietnam. This war was one of the most unpopular.
The Vice President will become president due to the circumstances following President Nixon, which led him to resign. This will make Ford the first person to be both Vice President and President. Ford Vice President will become president due to the circumstances following the President Nixon, which led him to resign. This will make Ford the first person to be both Vice President and President. He will also become the first unelected president shortly after taking office. Ford pardoned Nixon for any crimes he may have committed as president. The presidential pardon meant that Nixon would never have to face criminal charges over his involvement in the war.
Throughout the long and difficult period of Watergate, I have felt it was my duty to persevere, to make every possible effort to complete the term of office to which you elected me. In the past few days, however, it has become evident to me that I no longer have a strong enough political base in the Congress to justify continuing that effort. as long as there was such a base, I felt strongly that it was necessary to see the constitutional process through to its conclusion, that to do otherwise would be unfaithful to the spirit of that deliberately difficult process and a dangerously destabilizing precedent for the future. But with the disappearance of that base, I now believe that the constitutional purpose has been served, and there is no longer a need for the process to be prolonged. I would have preferred to carry through to the finish, whatever the personal agony it would have involved. And my
Turning Basin and the Lincoln Memorial. They are emerging from the so-called diplomatic entrance downstairs.
There is the man who will be president in another couple of hours, Gerald Ford, and his wife, Betty Ford.
Vice President Ford this morning, as he left his home to come here for this occasion, said it was indeed one of the saddest incidents that he's ever seen. And there's the president waving goodbye, and you hear the applause.
President Nixon peering out from behind the bullet-resistant glass. Vice President and Mrs. Ford standing just to the left of Mr. and Mrs. Cox, and just in front of that old magnolia tree that was planted by Andrew Jackson. President Nixon's helicopter going over the fountains of